Dear friends, loving greetings to all of you, and welcome to Session 7 of Online Course 1, Module 2 of the ISSE-SE Education in Human Values program.
It makes us very happy to see everyone once again today. 2 weeks ago, we had the honor of listening to the director of our institute, George Bebedelis. He spoke to us about the topic of the integral relationship of the human being and the human values. In that session, we became more aware of how our physical, vital, mental, intellectual, and spiritual aspects interrelate. George took us on a subtle journey towards a deeper and higher understanding of our true self. And we saw that the more we practice the human values, which are our very true nature, the closer we get to experiencing the goal of life, which, as George also highlighted in his presentation, what is the ultimate goal? Happiness, everlasting, permanent happiness. So today, dear friends, we will be starting to introduce the 5 teaching techniques that the ISSE-SE Education in Human Values program uses in order to achieve its objectives as well, with the different lessons with the children in the classroom as well. And I would like to just share my screen to guide us through the next few presentations we will be seeing over the next weeks, which will be dedicated to these 5 teaching techniques. So as we can see, these 5 teaching techniques, we will just touch upon them very, very briefly today. They are not techniques that are maybe new to any of us or that we haven't heard of, but we will see why when we put them together, it's so special. So these 5 teaching techniques that the ISSE-SE program use in its lessons are mainly what we call the first one, silent sitting or meditation on the light, the technique of storytelling as well, the one of universal prayers and quotations, which is what we will focus on later in depth today, the technique of group activities and group singing. And of course, although these techniques are very important and can enhance the understanding and practice of human values, we all know that at the heart of the ISSE-SE Educare program, it is that the teacher is the exemplar, because this is a self-transformational program. So each one of us, the main objective of ISSE-SE Educare is to realize who we truly are. So coming back to these techniques, of course, the human values are related to each and every one of them. However, it is true that when we all know that when we do conscious breathing exercises, when we become aware of our breath, as we say, here and now, when we practice meditation, it helps us to feel the value of peace. When we use a story in a lesson, when we have characters that teach moral values and all of this to our children, it really connects to the value of right action. Sometimes through a story, what to do and also what to not do. So it really works on this value of, like we say, righteousness as well. Today, when we focus on universal prayers and quotations, we know, and Elena, our speaker, I will present her in a short moment, she will really guide us through how, when we connect to these words of wisdom, they help us to experience truth and remember and live by who we truly are. Of course, when we have group activities and children work together or adults as well, as ISSE-SE also says, when we practice all the other values, the outcome is non-violence. We live in an environment of understanding, and this, of course, translates into non-violence. And group singing, when we sing, music is the language of the heart, and it truly helps us to feel the value of love. So as we said, of course, they're all very connected, but each of these techniques do help us enhance one of these 5 universal values. And coming back to the importance of the 5 teaching techniques together, through the ISSE-SE program, we many times refer to what we call the direct and the indirect methods or approaches. In the direct model, what we have is where we talk about specific weekly lesson plans with a single focus on the teaching of human values. And these are the lessons, a weekly lesson, for example, like the ones I may give at school when I teach a lesson on human values, or when we have ISSE-SE classes as extracurricular activities many times outside school. When all these 5 techniques are put into practice together in a lesson to enhance a specific value or aspect of a value, this is what we refer to as the direct model. Of course, in the indirect model, it's when the human values are integrated into the existing school curriculum in all the different subjects. And ideally, they both would be used in coordination. And since we're focusing on the 5 teaching techniques, again, referring to the direct model, the direct approach, as I mentioned before, these 5 teaching techniques, which we just saw, what is really powerful about using them all together in a single lesson is the combination of all 5 of them. As I said, they may be not new techniques as such, but using them and that interweaving of one technique with another and promoting all these different aspects, they truly enhance and help us realize all the aspects of the human personality: physical, emotional, mental, intellectual, and spiritual. So having said that, and just for us to understand, because over the next sessions we will be talking in depth about one of these, today we have the honor of listening, and this is at this point I would like to introduce our first speaker for today, our dear Elena Rodríguez Clavo. Good morning, dear Elena.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, dear Varsha.
It's a joy to see you, to hear you today, Elena, like always. And before I can actually leave you with the wonderful presentation that you're going to share, I would just like to give everyone a meaningful and valuable background about you, dear Elena. So Elena Rodríguez Clavo is a graduate in psychology, and along the years she has attended several postgraduate courses on active pedagogies for children in the fields of music, speech therapy, school failure, living together, cooperative games, positive conflict solving dynamics, and mindfulness in education. In 2004, Elena obtained a certificate as a specialist in social intervention with children and families. In 1999, Elena obtained the basic diploma course on value-based education by the Institute of ISSE-SE Education of Thailand, while staying as a residential student in the ISSE-SE School of Thailand for 2 months and a half. Since 2009 till now, she is a teacher of ISSE-SE Education and a faculty member of the Institute of ISSE-SE Education of South Europe in Spain and Europe. Her professional life has been dedicated mainly to giving free workshops on living together and positive conflict solving since 2007 till now, to children, teenagers, university students, and adults, coordinated by the association Educar en la No Violencia, Educate in Non-Violence, which is present in Spain. Elena is fully in love with the ISSE-SE Education in Human Values program since 1994, and every step taken in her life since then is focused on contributing to share this program with as many people as possible in our European society. On a personal note, I can say, and all of those of us who know our dear Elena very well and work closely with her, she is an example of kindness, of compassion. Oh, it even touches my heart to speak about you, Elena. Of friendship, a beautiful person, very creative, very, very creative. But what really touches us most is her purity of heart as well. So Elena, we are really looking forward to hear you present the technique of universal prayers and quotations. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear Raksha. Yeah, we all have this transformational process all together. It's really a joy to be together in this pilgrimage towards ourselves through the program of Satyasa Education. It's an amazing program. It's this beautiful, so beautiful to be together here in this constant learning, which always will improve every step, in every way. We're getting better every day in every way. Thank you so much. So now I'm going to start with this presentation about the technique of universal prayers and quotations. So before I start sharing with you the theory and practice of this inspiring teaching technique, I am going to share a quotation and a prayer that I really love. The quotation says, "See good, hear good, think good, speak good, think good, do good, be good." And it is Satya Sai who has taught us these wonderful words. And the prayer that I would like to share with you, it's very simple. It's "May all the worlds be happy." This universal prayer. Simple because it has only got 6 words, but profound and deep because it's universal and it's all pervading. So after these 2 examples that I wanted to share with you, now I'm going to talk about the main objective of this technique and how it is connected with the value of truth. As we know already that the basic goal of Satyasai education is to help children develop and connect to their spiritual heart, the seat of human values, and unite head, heart, and hands with this source of wisdom. So as Raksha has just shared with us, we know that there are 5 teaching techniques. Each one is related to one of the values. But today we are going to focus on the value of truth and the technique of universal prayers and quotations and how they are connected to this value. We are going to see why it is a recommended tool to nurture this value in our mind so that we can translate it into words and actions. And then now I would like you to reflect on this question that I have also been reflecting on to start the writing of this text. The question is, have you ever calmed down your mind by reciting a prayer, repeating a mantra, or remembering the message of a quotation that you learned at a certain moment in your life? If this has ever happened to you, let us go deeper to find out the reasons behind this experience. Why do we say that universal prayers and quotations are connected to the value of truth? I would like to remind you that we already know that love is the undercurrent of the other values, as we already have seen this before many times. It says, love in words and thoughts is truth. Love in feelings is peace. Love in action is righteousness. Love in understanding is nonviolence. So let us take the first line. Love in thoughts and words is truth. In our daily experience, we all know that words originate from our thoughts. Then, let us focus on our thoughts. What is the connection between thoughts and words? Thoughts are in the mind, and words are in action. Thoughts are reversible, but words are irreversible. So it's very important that we focus and we learn what to do with our thoughts. Another question for introspection. If love in thoughts and words is truth, how can we ensure that all our thoughts and words are always fed with the energy of love? One answer to this question is that we need to be aware of our thoughts and words as much as possible. Therefore, we need to train our mind first so that our thoughts connect to the energy of love and then learn how to keep this connection. If you remember, we have spoken already about some practical tools in other sessions, like, for example, watch, WATCH, that means watch your words, watch your actions, watch your thoughts, watch your character, watch your heart. We have also learned about the 3/8 circuit, the purity and unity of this harmony. You have to tune in the 3/8 circuit always inside so that we are doing the right things. Behind these tools, there is always one ultimate goal, which is to find the answer to who am I and experience the absolute truth, which is eternal and changeless. For this, we need to understand the mind. And in the process of understanding the mind, we have 3 questions. What is the nature of the mind? How does the mind work? How can we train our mind? Satyasai gives us a beautiful metaphor by comparing our words and thoughts with the seeds of a tree. Here is what he says. Man's thought is like the seed of a tree, which in due time will turn into the branches, leaves, flowers, and fruit. All that you see in a tree has emerged from a small seed. In the same way, although man's thought is subtle, the whole universe is in it. The atom is the microcosmos of the universe. Be aware of the big size of the tree. Its seed, however, is very small. The seed and the tree are one in essence. Every person must observe their thoughts because they are the foundation of their actions. Your thoughts are the cause of the success or failure of your effort. Therefore, use your thoughts in an appropriate manner. This is in Satyasai Speaks, volume 25, page 129. The thoughts are the seeds of our feelings, words, and actions. As we think, so we become. So now we can understand what happens inside the mind with a very simple diagram that was designed by the director of the Institute of Satyasai Education of Thailand, Dr. R. Tom Jumsai. Do you remember this diagram? Esther Chris shared it with all of us when she presented the value of nonviolence. The conscious mind, here we have the conscious mind, superconscious mind, and subconscious mind. How do they work and how do they relate to each other? The conscious mind receives and processes all the data which comes in from the outside world through the senses. And all our experiences are stored in the subconscious mind. Every experience of every kind, pleasant or unpleasant, positive or negative, is recorded there. We don't notice, but in fact, 95% of our answers in life is automatic repetition because we are guided by the subconscious mind. When we have too many unpleasant and disturbing experiences in our life, it may be difficult to face daily challenges of life in a proper way because our thoughts and actions will be in tune with emotional pain and suffering. If we do not take new pleasant information in the subconscious mind, the consequences of our new actions will increase the unpleasant experiences and the negativity towards ourselves as a consequence. And how can we transform this negativity into positive? First, we need to keep our conscious mind calm in front of new challenges and difficulties. Pause and silence help to process the information calmly, postpone our actions, and use our discrimination until we decide what to say or what to do. With pause and silence, we connect with our superconscious mind, our intuition. We will not act automatically, and our words and actions will be in tune with the 5 human values. When the conscious mind is calm, if we receive correct information, it is like a seed in fertile soil, and the information stored in our subconscious mind will be positive. And then we have to reprogram our subconscious mind. How can we do it? But before we go into that, we are going to summarize how the mind works in a few sentences. Our subconscious mind is a reservoir of memory and is the source of self-programmed life patterns. Today's actions will depend in great measure on previous experience, knowledge, and understanding. In order to ensure a good quality reservoir, we need to replenish our storehouse with new input and make it as positive and elevating as possible. One way to do so is by focusing regularly on uplifting quotations, prayerful thoughts, and popular sayings. This positive information harmonizes with the superconscious mind and with truth. To connect with the superconscious mind, we need pause and silence. All these are important because sometimes people have very difficult experiences in their lives when they are children, for example, in their childhood, or maybe when they are teenagers, or when we are teenagers, we may have a lot of different difficult experiences inside. And so it's difficult to stop these messages come into the conscious mind when we need to go into action. So it is important that we know all this so that we can help people to develop a new input in their subconscious mind so that they can change their life and make it better. So that's why are the quotations, popular sayings, and universal praise so important? Let's read this again, because we have to remember this well. The use of quotes, popular sayings, and universal prayers is uplifting and inspirational for children and adults. It fosters sensitivity and good thinking, together with personal reflection and common sense. Quotations and popular sayings come from the outside, whereas prayers may come from the outside or from the deep conscience within. Both prayers and quotations serve to remind us who we truly are. When I was a child, I received a very good message from my father. He used to tell us, your freedom stops where the freedom of the others begins. I thought it was something that he had invented by himself, but it is in fact a very popular saying. But it always helped me to reflect on it and to try to relate to other people in the proper way. Now we are going to talk specifically about quotations and popular sayings. And later on, we will talk about prayers, universal prayers. Let's start again with this from the Educator Handbook, Part 2. A good quote is like a signpost. It inspires, provides guidance and direction. Quotations feed the mind with good thoughts. Inspirational quotes are gems of wisdom. Quotes are impressive and remind us that a few words are sufficient to share a glimpse of truth. Quotations and popular sayings can help to guide us in front of challenging situations in life and go beyond the appearances. Words and sayings that are capable of uplifting and inspiring, fostering insight as well as practical common sense, are the ones that ISSSE Education and Human Values focuses on. It's good to know that, for example, our Spanish writer, famous, universally well-known Miguel de Cervantes, gave also a description of proverbs, which I like very much. It says, a proverb is a short sentence based on long experience. So this is why these are connected with truth, because wise people in every moment of history have been giving these small, very short sentences which give a lot of knowledge. And these are exactly what we need. To remember this is always good for guiding us our life. Another quotation that I learned in England when I was studying English, I love it. It's also very, very fine and very popular. It says, early to bed, early to rise, make man healthy, wealthy, and wise. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Lots of things like that. They are so nice to remember because they have a sound like a little melody. It's like they are little poems. And now I would like to continue with a personal experience. To exemplify how a quotation can change a very special moment, a challenging moment in life. So I'm going to read what happened to me some years ago. It was about maybe 2001, maybe the year 2000 or 2001. One cold night at the end of December, I was walking in the night, coming back home on my own, crossing a square. Only a few people were there. I was happy because I had been taking part in a concert of the choir I used to participate in then. And I had been singing in the church where my parents had got married in many years in the past. Then I was very happy and I was feeling very joyful inside, very cheerful. And suddenly I saw a young woman in front of me who did not look very healthy nor tidy. She was very pale and thin. Her hair was long and dark. My first thought was to walk quickly and take a distance from her. But then a voice inside me told me that it was not fair to judge people for their look, for their appearance. And I remember that human values are in every human being. So I continued walking confidently and walked in front of her. A few minutes later, the woman ran towards me from behind and tried to take my bag, which I carried on my back. It was like a small backpack. While she was pulling my bag with her hands, she was saying loudly and nervously, "Give me your money or I'll poke you. Give me your money or I'll poke you." I turned round and replied to her, "Wait, wait, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you." While I was talking, a thought suddenly appeared very clearly in my mind, very, very fast. I'm having fear. And I once learned that the opposite of fear is love with this verse. There is no fear in love. Love drives out fear. The original saying, it says love casts out fear, but it means drives out fear. I have to love this person. A voice inside me said, love her. And an inner replied to that command, but how shall I love her? The answer came quickly. Look into her eyes. And this is what I did. I looked into her eyes while I was saying, I'll give it to you, and took my bag with my hands and started to open and take out my wallet. I had decided to give her some money, but with my own hands. I thought I had 500 pesetas because the euro hadn't started yet. It was like the equivalent now to 5 euros, but 500 pesetas was more than 5 euros now. And at that moment, I started feeling this love energy inside. My heart was warm, my mind was calm, and my hands were opening my wallet without fear or anxiety. She was waiting with expectation, watching what I was doing. When I opened my purse, I realized that I only had a few cents. And I said, disappointed, "Oh no, I don't have any money." I had forgotten that I had given the 500 pesetas to a friend of mine after the concert that night because I owed him that amount. The woman saw that it was true and started crying and saying with despair, "I am so unlucky. This can only happen to me. I had never dared to do this and now I dare it. And then nothing goes well in my life." And other words, expressing her frustration and bad luck in everything she tried to do in life. I felt very sorry for her. I told her, "Don't worry. What is your name?" She said, "Marisa." I did not know how to comfort her. At that moment, I also felt frustrated for not being able to keep my word, and I offered to invite her to have a cup of coffee together in a nearby cafeteria that was still open. It was about 11 p.m. She said, "How are you going to invite me if you don't have any money?" And I said, "We can go to the bank cash point near here and I take some." She accompanied me to the bank and I noticed that she respected my privacy and she stepped back to keep a distance from the machine and from me. We continued walking towards the cafeteria and then she told me in a very casual way, "If I showed you the object with which I was going to poke you," I didn't want to see it. But before I could tell her that it was not necessary, she showed me the object. It was the handle of a soup spoon without the head, without the part of eating, just the handle. This made me smile inside my heart. The night finished with having a cup of coffee in the cafeteria near there and near my home. And this 32 years old woman shared with me a lot of sad experiences of her life, about her two children, 13 and 16, and her addiction to some substances. She was under medical treatment at that moment so that she could overcome this problem. I even gave her my phone number. The words of wisdom, love drives out fear, transform the situation completely into a new experience with the 5 human values. I felt as if we were in a different dimension. The time didn't matter. The space didn't matter. Cold didn't matter. I had to love her. I got an order, love her, and I found a way to express this love energy. And now I'm going to give you some hints of how to use the practical application in the classroom. We read this part. We can use the quotations in the classroom in several ways. Here's an example. You can start with a quotation as the theme for the day, for the week, month, etc. For example, as we think, so we become. We can ask questions after the quotation to make sure that everyone understands the meaning of every word and integrates the message. Keep one quotation for the whole week. Other related quotations may come out from the students with similar meaning. Keep a record of incidents related to the quotation. To teach the quotation, you can connect the words with simple actions, which help the children interiorize and remember it even more. We can give the children opportunities to create their own quotations. After storytelling, for example, you can ask, what is the message of the story? And they can invent a quotation to represent the essence of that story, for example. And in this case, they will be coming from inside. For example, sometimes Raksha uses her hands and to make the quotation alive, like, I don't remember, but gratitude is the best attitude or whatever. I am inventing it, but it's a way of teaching children with more presence, with using their body too, mind, heart, and hands, head, heart, and hands. Now we are going to look at some photographs of examples that can be used in the classroom successfully. Pues there are a bottle of vitamins, for example, with quotations here, but it is that they are vitamins that we can take from inside and read sometimes and read something. We can also make them posters on the corridors with the quotations, sayings, popular sayings, or quotations, or wise words. We can also make bookmarks. We can also have the wisdom treasury, look full of quotes and sayings. The first aid quotes box, and etc. Wall decorations in the school corridors, whatever things. It's very important, but very interesting to use them in any context, not only in the school. Sometimes I take my vitamin bottle and give to every people that I know in other places too, adults also. And they always have a smile of gratitude when I give them the vitamin. The benefits of popular sayings and quotations. These are the benefits, important, according to the ISSE-SE EHP program. Positive thinking, intuition, they develop positive thinking, intuition, memory, self-control, concentration, self-confidence, optimism, discrimination, and they calm the mind. These are the benefits. And now we are going to have 4 examples that quotations that can be used in the classroom. First, from Jane Goodall. It says, what you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. Another one from Helen Keller. She was blind and deaf, as you may know, from America. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. Isn't that beautiful? And another one from San Francis of Assisi, which I really love this one. A single sunbeam is enough to drive away many shadows. How wise. And it is eternal. We still understand that this is true. We know that this is true. And then the last one of this series, it is from Nikola Tesla, scientist, as you know, an engineer, a man of science, but also a man of spiritual man, a very spiritual person. He says, though free to think and act, we are held together, like the stars in the firmament, with ties inseparable. These ties cannot be seen, but we can feel them. We are all one. He was from Croatia, was born in Croatia, and he lived later in the United States. We are all one, he said. So we all know this, but we have to have our mind calm so that this message really appears inside of us as a clear truth. And now this is the first. Now we finish here with the quotations and prayer and quotations and popular sayings, and we are going to give a little, also a little explanation of prayers. How universal prayers can also feed our mind so that we connect with truth and with our heart, the spiritual heart. First thing is, what is a prayer? And why do we pray? A prayer is a conversation with God, with our higher self, with our consciousness, a connection with our spiritual heart, the seat of the 5 values, the 3 H, head, heart, and hands. Purity and unity of head, heart, and hands. We feel humble, vulnerable, and we pray to receive love and understanding. We direct our thoughts towards God, the source of all creation, and we humbly ask for guidance, protection, comfort. This also, you can find it in the Educator Handbook, Part 2. What does Satya Sai says about prayers? And what does Gandhi says about prayers? Let's read here. Prayers must originate from the heart, where God resides, and not from the head, where doctrines and doubts clash. Prayer is not asking, it is a longing of the soul. In prayer, it is better to have a heart without words than words without a heart. So prayers can help us to connect with our spiritual heart, the seat of truth and wisdom. When we pray, we are truthful to ourselves and we become humble. How do prayers help? Prayers acknowledge a higher force or being that we can call upon for guidance and assistance. They eliminate fears, develop self-confidence and wisdom, health and happiness. They awaken intuition and release love energy. A prayer gives a sense of sharing. We can express without embarrassment what we cannot share with other people. A prayer is a step towards action at one's own pace. We can find prayers from different religions which are saying the same thing. They promote unity of faith and develop tolerance and respect for others of different faiths and cultures. Praying with understanding inculcates peace, inner harmony, and equanimity. We can pray for ourselves, for our family, and for every living being. This is also, you can find it in the handbook of the Institute of Satisfied Education, South Europe, in part 2. And the benefits of prayers, okay, prayerful contemplation nurtures positive thinking, self-confidence, introspection, inner calm, humility, faith, connects to a higher plane of understanding. Universal prayers come from outside, but help us to connect with our hearts and develop this intimate dialogue with our true self. Once we are used to prayers, this intimate dialogue can be created from inside of us. Sometimes we pray on our own, and sometimes we pray together. When we pray together, we all say the same words. Then we should understand the meaning of these words and take it to our hearts so that we feel what we are saying. This is very important, to feel, to understand, to be present. When we pray on our own, we can either use prayers that we have learned and which are meaningful for us, or we can express words coming from our hearts. That is an example. There is a story about a bishop who went on a sailing on a long journey. There was a bishop who went on a long journey, and his ship sailed for many days, and eventually stopped at a remote island to take on the ship more water and food. The bishop went for a walk along the beach and came across 3 simple fishermen. The fishermen were delighted to see the bishop and went up to him and said proudly in a very basic English, "We are Christians." The bishop was very shocked. "What do you say when you pray?" The 3 men said innocently, "We lift our eyes to heaven. We pray. We are 3. You are 3. Have mercy on us." The bishop was unpleasantly surprised at the primitive and heretical nature of their prayer. He spent the rest of the day teaching them a long and complicated prayer. It was hard to them to remember it, as their English was not so good, and none of them had even been to school. They tried very hard to master the prayer, and before his ship sailed away the next day, the bishop had the satisfaction of hearing them recite it. Many months passed by. One day, the bishop's ship happened to be passing by near the island where the 3 fishermen lived. He thought about them and wondered how they were getting on. He felt very pleased with himself that he had been able to teach such primitive people the correct way to pray. But just as he was thinking this, he saw a tiny light moving over the sea. The bishop was amazed and watched carefully. The light got bigger as it approached. So soon he was able to make out that it was 3 men. To his astonishment, he realized that it was the same 3 fishermen. As they got within earshot of the ship, they shouted, "Bishop, Bishop, please help us." What is it you want?" asked the bishop. "Bishop," they said, "we are so sorry. We forgot lovely prayer. Please teach us again." The bishop was truly humbled. "Go back to your homes, my friends," he said, "and each time you pray, say, 'We are 3, you are 3, have mercy on us.'" It is important that teachers do not instruct their own belief system. but help the children to find the tools by which they can discover and create their own. So, to introduce universal prayers in any context, we can give the example of the 3 fishermen who wanted to learn how to pray. Because sometimes we need to take the program of Satyasai human education, of Satyasai human values to any context. Maybe this can be a religious school, or it can be a like school, a public school. And so we have to find a way to use prayers, but universal. What does Satyasai say about prayers? A prayer has to be united with practice. You should not pray one thing and practice another. Such a prayer is only a means of deception. The words you utter, the deeds you do, the prayers you make must all be directed along the same path. So I think that here, Satyasai is saying that we have to pray for the good of others, but also we have to get involved in the good of others and ourselves. There are some examples of universal prayers for any school context. There's, for example, this one, getting better, getting better, getting better every day in every way, getting better, this I pray. Or for all the universe, peace, 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 peace on earth, peace, peace, peace for all the universe. Love, 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 love on earth. Love, love, love for all the universe. We can use this. And then, just to finish now this part, let's remember that this is a part of a longer prayer or quotation from Satyasai, which is, there is only one language, the language of the heart. The complete message says, there is only one religion, the religion of love. There is only one caste, the caste of humanity. There is only one language, the language of the heart. There is only one God, and He is omnipresent. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here today.
Dear Elena, there's a quotation that I use a lot at school and that you remembered, and it says, express your gratitude, that's the best attitude. So I just want to, on behalf of all of us who have had the pleasure to listen to you today, we really are very grateful, dear Elena, because not only did you remind us of very important aspects of how one can first, you went through this journey of how the meaning and the importance of these words of wisdom, whether prayers or quotations, but you also shared examples of how to practice this in a school, in any lessons. You even mentioned about how you take your little vitamins of quotes to neighbors and to other people. And you shared such a touching story, Ellen. I remember, I'm just going to say this to the participant because it's really beautiful. Remember when I started and I said that one of the things that characterizes our dear Elena most is her purity of heart. When she called me that day and told my husband and I what had happened to her, I still remember we were both like, okay, something like this could only happen to Elena. So thank you so much, Elena, for sharing such wisdom and practical knowledge. Educare is practical knowledge. So dear participants, your time has come to ask any questions if you would like to, so please post them in the chat box. So if you can kindly write your questions in the chat box, we will be happy to ask Elena to answer them. I will ask you one, Elena, now, because you did share this experience about a quotation and how it helped you in that moment. I would like to ask you regarding prayer. Do you have any daily routine or any prayer that especially touches your heart or that uplifts you, like I said, on a daily basis, dear Elena?
Okay, Yes, yes. Since yes, what I practice all the time, not that I have a routine to practice. It's just I do it anywhere, and in front of any other situation. It's always the Gayatri mantra, because the Gayatri mantra, when I learned it, I remember the person who gave it to me written on a paper. He said, this use this prayer, because it will help you a lot, because you need this help. You really need to learn something that is very powerful, and it's universal, and it's for everybody, and it can change the world. And so he gave this to me. It was like maybe 25 or 30 years ago, and he gave it to me and said, okay, I learned it, and then I started then. And then every time I have a difficult situation in life, very difficult situation, then I start inside. Om Bhurбhuvः Swaha Tat Savitur Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. And so everything becomes clear. So everything becomes like not noisy at all. The noise stops, and then another dimension appears, like understanding. It's very easy, and then I can keep quiet. I can keep calm and watch at the situation. Very in a very good state of mind. This is
Thank
my
you for sharing that,
experience.
dear
Thank
Elena.
you. You are
And
welcome.
in line with, we don't have questions, but there are other people expressing their gratitude. That's the best attitude. So we have different messages that say, for example, dear Elena, thank you for all the love you have shared with us through your great heart, touching presentation. Another message that says, thank you for this sweet, warm, and very practical presentation, dear Elena. And
Mhm.
again, another participant highlights very touching presentation as well. And Elena, just as we have a question here as well, could you like outline, somebody's asking if we could just outline the main meaning of the Gayatri Mantra. So maybe of course not line to line, but what the main meaning of this prayer.
Uh-huh. Well, the Gayatri Mantra is asking to to clarify our mind. Really, it's like the light in the mind, something like that.
Hmm. Exactly.
Bring light to my mind. It's something.
Yes, indeed, to enlighten and to illuminate our minds.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you, Elena. And then we have another comment. When we were young, we were taught many proverbs, and our parents used to use so many proverbs in their conversations. It is rare to hear proverbs these days. Why do you think these wise sayings are being lost in the current times? That's a question for you, dear Elena.
Well, they are not really lost. If we are aware, when we have our smartphones, we in the WhatsApp, everybody sends all the time messages with beautiful photographs and sayings. We don't know where they come from, but they are. I receive a lot every day, and everyone uses, but they are not so much repeated. It's true. It's not. They are. We look at them. It's like images of them, but we don't listen to them so much. And I think that because communication nowadays is not, it needs a little bit of improvement. Okay. So, for example, if you go into the street and you talk to strangers, they are not strangers. They are your brothers and sisters too. So for me, people are not strangers. I can talk to anyone in the metro, in the metro, no, but in the bus, sometimes on the bus stops, I arrive there, or especially in the school context. The teachers, for example, I give them these vitamins. Sometimes I take, would you like a vitamin? And say, no, no, I don't take vitamins. No, no, this kind of vitamin will make you good. So when I take the little paper, they are like, okay, yes, okay. So they open it and they read it and they smile, and it's very nice. And these are the typical, like, peace in yourself, peace in the world, from Gandhi. But instead of only using that on the day of the peace of 30th of January, I take it and I give it every day. And so, they remind. So these are lost because we are not using them all the time. We. have to do that too. We have to be the instruments.
Thank you, Elena, for reminding us, because with this technique, as you say, repetition, like with anything, with discipline, right? Discipline, we know making it a habit, repetition is so important.
Yeah.
So
just
thank you
one
so
more.
much.
Just one more. Today is going to be my peaceful day. There is a walk for peace in the south of the United States by Buddhist monks, and they are saying this they are asking to repeat this to everyone they meet. Thousands of people have received this message now. They have been 144 days walking so far. Since from Texas, they are going to Washington D.C. But in the way, they are meeting more and more people in every city they come, and they give this message to everyone. So I'm doing that too. It's a way of reinforcing. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena, once again. And like we say, coming back to another little saying, we explain what we know, but we teach who we are. So thank you for teaching us who you are today, of course, explaining many important things, but through your example, your kindness, like I said, embracing warm nature. Thank you so much. And I know that I'm saying this on behalf of everyone who had the pleasure to listen to you today. So, dear participants, after this very embracing session, at the first part of our session, you know, we will have our interactive workshop when we come back, and it's a very interactive workshop. So you will see when you come back, with many beautiful different parts today. So we will have 3 or 4 minute break, and we will come back at 11:06 to be able to have our interactive workshop with our second speaker for today. Welcome back, everyone. And as we said in this second part of today's session, we are going to enjoy a beautiful interactive workshop as always. And for this, it's my absolute pleasure and delight to introduce our second speaker for today. Good morning, dear Varsha.
Good morning, dear Raksha.
It's so
How
nice
are you today?
I'm very inspired. And
Yes,
I'm sure
it is
you will
true. We
inspire
are
us. Yes.
very inspired by dear Elena with her beautiful presentation, so uplifting.
Absolutely, and we know that there's more to come from you as well, so this will inspire and uplift us even further.
I hope so.
I'm sure it will be that way. So once again, dear participants, because Varsha is a member of our team as well, but I would just like to share a few background statements and words about her, which will help us understand her rich knowledge and background too. So Varsha was born in India. She was brought up in Ghana. She went to London, UK for 2 years for her higher studies. She then came to Barcelona, Spain, with her husband in 1981, and she has lived in Valencia since 1986. Her love for teaching and her natural teaching abilities have made her become a teacher of English for adults and for children, individually, and also teaching groups in an academy of English as a foreign language in Valencia. And she has been teaching there for over 25 years now with very good results. Varsha believes that these good results come from the few minutes of guided meditation that she starts her classes with, together with the use of other teaching techniques of the pedagogy of ISSSE-SE Educare. Varsha's love for her roots and her culture has always attracted her to yoga from a very young age, and in 2010 she obtained a certificate as a yoga teacher, becoming a yoga teacher for adults. As soon as she got the certificate, her career as a yoga teacher started. And then she became an instructor in meditation, and she was in charge of the meditation workshops in the ISSSE, which is the Spanish National Organization for the Blind. And she did this for adult members of that organization in 2015 for 3 years. The dream of becoming an SSEHB teacher became true when she started giving human values lessons in the ISSSE-SE Center of Valencia in 1997. And then she traveled to Thailand in 2001, where Varsha obtained the basic diploma in value-based education from the Institute of ISSSE Education of Thailand, after staying in the ISSSE school there for 2 months and a half, just like our dear Elena also mentioned. Varsha is an SSEHB teacher since the year 2001, and she's a trainer of the Institute of ISSSE Education of South Europe in Spain since the year 2009. Varsha is a visually challenged person since 1987. Oh, I'm getting a bit touched today with our beautiful team. But this condition has not been an obstacle for her to continue in her journey in ISSSE education and human values. It's really out of admiration and love because, as you heard before while I was talking, Varsha's little assistant, Alex, I think we call, was trying to talk to her, and technology, anything, never is an obstacle for her because, like we said, even being visually challenged, this condition has never stopped her to put into practice everything that we learn here in SSEHB. And this is why her motto is, "Impossible is I am possible." So, dear Varsha, since I can't speak much more, it's time for you to go ahead with your workshop, and we are really looking forward to hear you because, yeah, you will inspire us. But yes, just okay. I just like to say as well, like I said for Elena, that on a personal note, what I really appreciate about you is your perseverance, your sense of devotion, and your very serene and peaceful nature. So we're really delighted to hear you now. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, dear Raksha, for your beautiful, heart-touching, compassionate, loving words. I really appreciate how you support me all the time. Good morning, dear friends. It is a pleasure for me to facilitate today's workshop on universal prayers and quotations. I will start with just a few minutes of silence, which is a very important technique in this program, and it's recommended highly and used very often. So let's start by sitting straight, comfortably, and with our eyes half closed, focused on the tip of our nose, and observe every inhalation and exhalation. Deep breathe, inhaling to fill the lungs and the abdomen, and exhale, deflating the abdomen and lungs. Continue this breathing. Each time, breathing in naturally with rhythm, deep without force. Observe the breath pass through the nostrils, down to the throat, into the abdomen, and vice versa. Now gently close the eyes and listen to the sound of the breath, and connect with the light in the heart, which is the seat of human values. And visualize the light expand with each breath. And we will remain in silence just for a few minutes. And now let us gently open our eyes and smile. Now I will begin with a beautiful poem by a well-known poet called Rumi. It is called In Search of That, and it reads, there is a life force within your soul. Seek that life. There is a gem in the mountain of your body. Seek that mind. O traveler, if you are in search of that, do not look outside. Look inside yourself and seek that. Allow it to sink. I'd like you to introspect on these words of the poem and would really appreciate it if you would share it with us on the chat box. Just a few keywords. You can share what it transmits to you, what you feel about it. In the meantime, I will read the poem again. There is a life force within your soul. Seek that life. There is a gem in the mountain of your body. Seek that mind. O traveler, if you're in search of that, do not look outside. Look inside yourself and seek that. So now I will ask dear Raksha to read your answers in the chat box. Would you do the needful, Raksha dear?
Sure. I think people are still enjoying the poem. For the moment, I would like to share that what it transmits to me is the words that come are peace and truth. I will read out any other responses that come in as well.
Maybe they need a few more moments to reflect. It's fine. If any of the team members would like to share, is also
And as you
welcome.
said, the keywords, right, as well in the
Yeah,
chat.
the keywords, yeah.
We have a response that says peace and light, soul, all is possible, body, the light in every cell of mine, flow divine, search, life force, a gem, seek, essence of peace and discovery in life's journey, flower of love, Olympic flame within for peace and unity, peace, energy, and vibration, calm. For me, the journey of life begins within rather than outside.
As many of you have shared your feelings, it is so beautiful and uplifting, full of values, as Elena mentioned, peace, calm, love. And since we are talking about a poem, and it is to do with words, for me, the message transmits and helps us to recognize the absolute truth within. Now we will move on to the next part. Here, the short video we will play will show us the importance, how important these short, these simple words of wisdom are. As you can see here, metaphorically, the glass of water is polluted. It's a polluted glass of water. This symbolizes a mind filled with negative thought patterns. And the water we pour in abundantly is positive input, which eventually purifies the thoughts and reprograms the mind from negative thought patterns to positive thought patterns. So this is how important these positive, simple words are. In the same way, quotations are threads that connect us to our spiritual heart, the seat of our conscience. Now let's look at the next image. It can happen vice versa, the other way around too. Here, it's a clean, clear glass of water, which symbolizes an optimistic mind. And when we pour, what happens when we pour a drop of ink? What happens? It immediately changes color. So here I would emphasize that it just needs a drop of ink, whereas we need abundant of water to purify and change the mind, transform the mind to a positive way of thinking. So this is how important positive input is. A regular positive input is so important. And one way of doing it is using inspirational quotations, sayings, affirmations, phrases, anything that will reprogram the negative thinking pattern. Now we are going to go into the workshop. Sorry, the universal prayers. I will talk a little bit in reference to the universal prayers. As Elena said, prayers are an opportunity to have a deep conversation, a moment to, it is a moment to connect with our interior self and to feel sincere gratitude, and also a way to express our noble wishes for the well-being and happiness of our loved ones and every living being. Personally, I have a routine in my life where I do practice sincere gratitude, prayers to do with the conversation with my internal self, devotional songs, mantras, rituals. And this helps me to stay connected the whole day, throughout the day with my conscience. Now we will move on to the workshop. Today, we will not go into small rooms. We will not break out into the rooms. And we are going to be together and have fun, play a game. As you can see, there are 8 quotations here. What we have to do is to match the left side of the quotation to the correct phrase on the right. For example, the number 1 quotation. Raksha will read you the number 1 quotation, and you will choose the right letter and raise your hand, and we will call you to solve the quotation. How you will solve it is you will say number 1 and then the letter, and then read the phrase. And then also, I would request you to share your feelings or what it transmits to you.